Here at Sararights TV, where we bring you stories covering the coverages from West Nile, Uganda, and around the world. Let's get the top stories. 538 pupils share 3 teachers as Nebi school battle severe overcrowding. Woman jailed for life as 2 co-convicts get 35 and 30 years. Dozens of dead after boat capsizes in northwestern Nigeria. Spurs agree £75 million deal to sign Man City's Savino. I am Letasi Florence. Let's get the stories into details. Palo NFE school in Nebi district is struggling with severe overcrowding, inadequate classroom, shortage of teachers and desks has left 538 pupils studying on bare floors and in makeshift structures. The school, which has operated for about 25 years on the same half-acre piece of land, has only 3 teachers to serve its 538 learners. Primary 1 alone has 340 pupils, while Primary 2 has 134 and Primary 3 has 64, according to school records. Pupils in the lower classes have no desks and are forced to sit on the floor, while Primary 3 learners study in one-room grass hut structure donated by a well-wisher in 2000. According to Teddy Oyeru, the head teacher of the Palio NFE school, the school never had a permanent classroom for Primary 3 because it originally offered only Primary 1 and Primary 2, whereby the shortage has also increased the workload on the head teacher, Innocent Opentho. The Nebi District Education Officer said the district has written to the Ministry of Education and Sports seeking to have all 7 non-formal education centers in the district upgraded in fully fledged primary schools. He said the district was aware of the challenges facing the center but could not close them because doing so could force many children out of school. Data from the Nebi District Education Department shows that the district has 979 teachers serving 102 government-aided primary schools. Palo NFE school receives Ugandan shillings 1.7 million in capitation grants last year, while the allocation increased to Ugandan shillings 2 million this year. However, school administrators say the funding remains insufficient to address the school's needs, including supporting additional teachers through Parent-Teacher Association contribution. Palio NFE school is one of the 7 NFE centers operating as complementary opportunities for primary education centers in Nebi district. Far from that, Soroti High Court has sentenced Susan Vivian Oriokot, the wife of the director of Josan Nursery Primary School, to life in prison for the ritual murder of a 5-year-old Joan Faith Apio, while her husband Joseph Okodi has been handed 30 years in jail and his brother, Detective Corporal John Bosco Optol, was handed a 35-year sentence. Justice Boniface Wamala sentenced Susan Vivian Orikot, the wife of fellow school director Joseph Okodi, to life imprisonment after finding that the aggravating circumstances surrounding the killing outweighed the mitigating factors. The court, however, acquitted and freed school cook Valentine Opio, head teacher James Ekoket, and school matron Ursula Odong, ruling that the prosecution had failed to adduce sufficient evidence linking them to the murder. Apio was found dead in a school toilet in Arua City, East Division on February 5, 2025 in a case that attracted widespread public attention across Teso sub-region. The prosecution had alleged that the child was unlawfully killed with malice aforethought. 6 adults were initially charged with murder. In his sentencing remarks, Judge Wamala said the offense fell within circumstances that could legally justify the death penalty, particularly because of the brutal manner in which the child was killed. However, the judge said sentencing guidelines requires the death penalty to be reserved for the exceptional and the rarest of the rare cases, meaning the court was required to consider both aggravating and mitigating circumstances before determining the appropriate punishment. Judge Wamala said the court considered the gravity of the offense, the aggravating and mitigating circumstances, and sentences imposed in comparable cases. Among the aggravating factors, the judge cited the horrific and inhuman manner in which Appiah was killed. The court heard that the child suffered extensive injuries on her neck, resulting in severe blood loss. Judge Wamala said the evidence showed the extensive damage to tissues, muscles, and blood vessels in the child's neck. The judge also described the killing as an act of child sacrifice, saying such conduct was gross and evil and had caused immense pain and trauma to the victim's family and the wider community. He noted that the victim was only 5 years old and therefore particularly vulnerable, saying the case highlighted the danger of child abuse and sacrifice. Judge Wamala said the sentences should serve as a deterrent to the convicts and anyone else who might contemplate engaging in similar acts. While sentencing Arua to the life imprisonment, the judge said there was legal justification for imposing the death penalty, particularly given her circumstances, but the mitigating factors did not justify imposing the ultimate punishment. On Detective Obotal, Judge Wamala said that although he did not physically participate in the assault that led to Appiah's death, the evidence showed that he was involved in planning and executing the murder. The judge said Obotal's position as a police officer whose responsibility is to detect, investigate, and prevent crime placed a higher duty on him. Judge Wamala therefore sentenced him to death to 35 years in prison. The court ordered that all 3 sentences take effect from the date of conviction. It also ordered that money recovered from the convict be handed over to Appiah's parents to help meet expenses incurred during the burial. The court further directed that properties belonging to the conditions. In international news, at least 46 people have died in Nigeria after a boat capsized in northwestern Sokoto state. The boat was believed to be carrying more than 70 people, most still children, and a search operation is ongoing, officials say. Police spokesperson Hamad Rufai told the media on Thursday that 46 bodies had been found near Garoon in Goroni. 16 people have been recovered safely while 15 are still missing. The area is difficult to reach and security agencies and emergency services are heading to the site, Rufai added. One witness told the media that he believed the children on boat were traveling with farm owners and labor who were heading to work on a rice harvest. The witness said they saw 50 bodies, many wrapped in mat and traditional cloth, lying in the front of community mosque ahead of their burial. Boat accidents are common in Nigeria, with overcrowding, poorly maintained boat, and weak enforcement of safety rules often blamed for deaths. At least 5 people drowned when a boat overturned in Arua State last month. In January, at least 26 people drowned when a boat carrying farmers and fishermen from Zigwawa to Yobe State capsized. And in December 2024, 54 bodies were recovered from the river Niger after a boat that may have been carrying more than 200 passengers capsized. Authorities have recommended measures including providing safe boats and life jackets, dredging waterways, deploying water guards at jetties and terminals, and ensuring boat operators are properly trained and licensed. For millions of Nigerians, particularly in rural communities, rivers are an important means of transport. Many villages are located near waterways, while poor roads and a lack of bridges can make travel by land difficult. Wooden boats are often used to transport people and goods, including to markets and neighboring communities. Lastly, in sports news, Tottenham have agreed to a deal with Manchester City to sign a winger Savino for £75 million with a further £10 million in potential add-ons. Savino, 22, will now have a medical before signing a long-term deal with Spurs. The Brazilian's move to North London has been more than 12 months in the making, with Spurs failing in a bid to sign him last summer. Savino opted to remain at Etihad Stadium, but his game time was limited under Pep Guardiola last term when he made just 7 Premier League starts. Having spent a combined £185 million on a midfielders, Matthias Fadnes from the West Ham and Sandro Tonali from Newcastle, Tottenham head coach Roberto De Zerbi next looked to strengthen his side attack, but Spurs are likely to end their spending here with Savino's teammate Omar Mamos as progressing positively. The aged forward £59 million signing from Eintracht Frankfurt in 2025 fell down the pecking order at City last season. Spurs also remains interested in Liverpool forward Cabo, but it is unclear whether they could finance a deal for the Netherlands attackers as well as moves for Mamos and Savino. Savino arrival with Spurs spending this summer past £300 million, although they have recouped about £140 million through the sales of Cristiano Romero, Jane Spence and Luka Vuskovic. Tottenham kick off their Premier League campaign at Brentford on Saturday, while City host Bournemouth on Sunday. That brings us to the closer of our news at 1. Let's have the recap of the top stories. 538 pupils say 3 teachers as Navy school battle severe overcrowding. Woman jailed for life as 2 convicts get 35 and 30 years. Dozens of dead after boat capsizes in northwestern Nigeria. Spurs agree £75 million deal to sign Man City's Savino. That is all we have to have for you this afternoon. I am Letasi Florence. Have the best of your day.